Yo, what's going on? It's your cousin from the South Side, Zay Solon. Welcome back to another beat tutorial on the channel. We back in this thing, you know what I mean? Today in this video, we're gonna be breaking down a very smooth, jazzy boom bap sample beat that I made. I was going for something that I could probably hear maybe Joey Badass on, maybe Griselda on, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even a Tribe Called Quest. I don't know. This sample really gave me like a Tribe Called Quest vibes too as well. But without further ado, I'm gonna get into the breakdown. But before we do that, make sure to hit that like button and share this video with your friends. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into the video though. So what I did was I went on Looperman. Shout out Looperman. There's a lot of dope creators on there, a lot of dope producers on there, dope sample makers, loop makers on there, real gems on there for real. Uh, I found this sample and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna take this, chop it up, um, and make a beat out of it. So with no effects or anything like that, this is what it sounds like. All right, pretty smooth, very jazzy as you can see. Now let's get into the effects. Okay, so for the effects, what I did was I added a fruity parametric EQ, cut out some of the lows and the highs. I also added a fruity delay and used the chorus preset, and just to make it sound more spacey, a little more airy. You know what I mean? Uh, and I also added a cymatics origins, but I'm gonna get into that later in the video, so stay tuned for that. But with the effects, this is what it sounds like. All right. So now what I did after that, I took the loop, ran it through Fruity Slicer, chopped it up, and came up with some simple variation chops just to give it a little bit of little spice, a little sprinkle of salt, you know what I mean? Just to spice up, the beat a little bit. With no effects or anything like that, this is what it sounds like. All right. Uh, just some slight chops. Uh, Nothing too overcomplicated because I didn't want to overcomplicate the chops because I knew I was gonna add a bass line and some other things into the beat. For the effects for this one though, I added another fruity parametric EQ, cut out the lows and the highs, and added a sketch cassette to give it a more vintage feel. I used the clean and subtle preset in the sketch cassette, and I used the wider plugin. If you don't know what that is, it basically makes everything wider in your headphones. But with the effects, this is what it sounds like. All right, so that's pretty much it as far as like the effects and stuff. As you can tell with the effects on it, I was really going for like a vinyl effect, vinyl, like really something really vintage. You know what I'm saying? I wanted this sample to sound vintage. Even though it already sounds really vintage, but I was going for more like a old school vintage sound. Something that you would definitely feel like it came from the 90s. So let's get into the bass line. All right, so now for the bass line, what I did was I went into Flex and I used their bass guitars, and I used the Deep Purple Dynamic preset. And don't sleep on Flex, because Flex is really a good gem to use. Like, it's a really great stock plugin. And FL has a lot of great stock plugins. It's just, you gotta be able to, tweak a few things and make them sound good. You know what I'm saying? But with no effects, this is what it sounds like. All right, so nothing too advanced. Just went for like a simple little bass line with that. Now for the effects, all I did was I added a Fruity Parametric EQ, because in the bass line when I was first using it, you could hear like this loud hissing sound. I don't know if y'all could hear it from what I just played, but without the EQ, you could definitely hear this loud hissing sound. I just heard it now. I was playing it. So what I did was for the EQ, I cut out a lot of the high end, high end or low end. I don't know. I cut out the high end, I believe, so that I wouldn't be able to hear the hissing sound, and you'd hear more of just the bass. But with the EQ added on, this is what it sounds like. All right, so that's the bass line. Now we about to get into the good part. We about to get into the best part. This is literally the collard greens with the mac and cheese and the motherfucking barbecue ribs. You know what I'm saying? We about to get into the drums. You feel me? The drums. All right. So I'm gonna take y'all, and I'm gonna take y'all to the drums and show y'all how I made the drums. And yeah. All right, y'all. So what I did for the drums was I went on Reddit and found this uh drum pack. Uh this Kenny Beats drum pack. Shout out Kenny Beats. Kenny Beats, if you watching, let me be on the cave. You know what I'm saying? I know this the last season. You know what I mean? Let me be on the cave. You know, I'm really like that. Fuck with your boy. You know what I'm saying? Fuck with me. But I'm gonna show y'all the drums with no swing, because when I was making these drums, they sounded very robotic before adding the swing. And I'm gonna get into what swing is after I show y'all the drums with no swing on them. So this is what the drums sound with absolutely no swing. All right, so that's what they sound like with absolutely no swing. As you can tell, they sound very robotic, very computerized. You know what I mean? So what I did was I went to the swing knob, and for those that don't know, what the swing knob does. The swing knob basically gives the drums life, if that makes sense. Uh, it basically makes them sound more humanized, like somebody actually was actually playing the drums. So that's what it sounds like with no swing. This is what it sounds like with swing. All right, y'all. So that's the difference. Very more humanized sounds. Less robotic. Um, Now let's get into the effects for the drums. For the kick, I put on a Fruity Parametric EQ, and a Fruity compressor. For the hi hats, I put on a reverb. I didn't put too much reverb on it. Just put like 3%. Another parametric EQ to cut out a lot of the lows, and the highs. Um, for the snare, I put added a parametric EQ and just cut out a lot of bad frequencies that I didn't want playing in the beat. And same thing with the shaker and the conga, but for the conga, I added a wider so you could hear it better in the mix. Now let's get into the coup de grace. Well, this isn't the coup de grace, but let's get into the final, um, well, the last step in the uh beat, and that is the vocal chop that I went and found on Arcade. And I don't have to tell you too much about Arcade. You know about Arcade. I know you done seen all them damn commercials about Arcade. So don't tell me you don't know what Arcade is. So I cannot for the life of me, do not ask me what preset I used. I do not know what preset I used to with no effects. This is what it sounds like.
Going too fast. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, na, na. Ooh. Ooh. Going too fast. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, na, na. Ooh.
Ooh. So, as you can see, very simple vocal chop. Um like most stuff, I try to keep everything simple. Uh I do remember when I was trying to work on this vocal chop, it took me forever to find the right chops that sounded real good with the sample and the bass line and everything. So, yeah. Now, I'm going to show y'all my effects for it. So, for the effects, what I did was I added a sketch cassette, a pancake, and if you don't know what pancake is, pancake pans everything. So let's say you wanted to play in the left ear or the right ear or both, or if you wanted to go like ping pong and back and forth, that's what pancake does. I added a fruity delay using the chorus preset, fruity reverb, and I think I used the no, actually what I did was for the reverb was I turned down the dry knob, turned up the early reflection and the wet knob all the way up, and I turned up the high cut and the low cut to make it sound really, really, really spacey because I was going for like this atmospheric. I wanted it to sound like the vocals were coming from space, if that makes sense. And I added a fruity parametric EQ, and I tucked the highs and the lows so that to really give that very spacey vibe. And I added a wider, and with everything together, this is what it sounds like. All right, y'all. That's pretty much everything. Now we about to get into the ending, the last and final part. Uh, we're going back to the cymatics origins that I talked about earlier. What I did with the cymatics origins was, I wanted to. I'm really obsessed with, like, when it comes to boom bap beats or making anything like that. I'm really obsessed with, like, making the beat or the sample sound very, very vintage. So I used Cymatics Origins and I created an automation clip so that the beginning of the beat would sound very, very vintage. Like, it's almost sounds like it's being played through a tape recorder, if that makes sense. But the last and final part that I did was I took the drums, uh, turned it into a WAV file, and as you can see right there, I used Grossbeat to slow it down using their half speed preset. And with that being said, I'm gonna play the beat for y'all. But before I end the video, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, hit the subscribe button, come join the family. You know what I'm saying? We got a spot for you at the cookout. You know what I'm saying? We got a spot right there for you. You just gotta hit the subscribe button. You know? Shout out to all my brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? My melanated kings and queens and my non-binary family as well. You know what I'm saying? We, love all y'all over here, you know what I mean? But with that being said, I'm Zay Solon. This is the end of the video. And take care of yourself and stay blessed. Yes, sir.
We interrupt this program to bring you